Before I take a question, I just want to think it's important tonight just that we were able to have some of the family members from East Buffalo here, and that I know it's our guys have thought about that and went to the site, and that was big for our guys and for us to want to help and try to do something. So I thought that was nice to see Ottawa participate in that as well, and then we could move on to the game, but just want to recognize that.
Now, what got you guys to your game after the first period?
Lots of really gutty efforts. Craig Anderson, I think, number one. Dylan Cousins and that line really played solid for us. Darlene and his will and determination, I thought, was a presence. But guys didn't feel themselves, and we've watched a lot of opening nights, all of us, and there was a lot of emotion and a lot of tension. Guys forced a lot of plays and mistakes. A lot of mistakes happened, specifically the power play. You could see that. Some really oddities and odd stuff, but they can only be explained by opening night, right? And so we had to battle through that. I thought one huge save on the power play by Craig Anderson, breakaway save somewhere in the second, was a real key for us to kind of get things. You have a building like that, and the energy there that kind of turned it for us and for our guys, I felt.
Don, Craig, whether he said this in the locker room or not, but told us that during the second intermission, he kept things loose by saying something to the effect of, I'm usually 90% or 80% on breakaways, and now I've stopped 4 of them, so the next one might go in. What does he say about, whether he said that or not, just the looseness that he provides, and what do you say about any questions about him being 41 to play a game?
He probably did say that, is my guess, because that's the way he looks at things. He's got a great demeanor, and what an effort. It's amazing to think he's 41 when you watch. This is a young man's sport. The body is so important, and in this sport, you're in your prime as an athlete in your mid-20s, and so anything after that is just a perseverance, and any guy that plays in the league after that is persevering. And tremendous job tonight, because we don't win that game tonight without him holding things down at really key moments, as I mentioned. If you fall behind the way we were squeezing our stick at times, that's a recipe that's not a good recipe.
Don, the second period, how much of that, once you got over the nerves, how much of that was an example of the pace you wanted to get to and the way you wanted to pressure?
Yeah, we did get to the pace we wanted, but it was so small tonight. It was so short. We lost guys up ice in layers over and over, and which then couldn't help our defensemen, and they looked like they had a good gap and they had to back up, and so we gave up a lot of time and space. Almost working too hard, not smart, or very inefficient. And there was a sequence there where we kind of let our mind at ease and didn't worry about trying to impress or make the perfect play, and got into a rhythm, and then it seemed like we bounced out of that, with the exception of some of those guys I thought were really good. Bryson was really good tonight. It just looked like they were in mid-season form, but there was only 3 or 4 of those guys going, and fortunately one was Craig.
Coach, what's your thoughts on J.J. Paterka's performance tonight?
J.J. is, sorry to cut you off, but J.J. was best tonight than he was at any point in the preseason, in the exhibition game. So that was really nice to see. The competition elevated, the competitive puck battles elevated, and I thought he was very determined in puck battles and showed a lot of strength. And once he won a battle through that, he opened up and saw lots of options and plays. The goal was outstanding. I thought he had a burst of speed to match Cousins, who we know has incredible acceleration. But the two of them together on the goal was they went from 4th to 5th gear, and it was too much for the opposition. And JJ put it in the back of the net immediately, as a goal scorer does. He knew he was scoring on that pass, and it was nice to see.
As far as Rasmus's goal, he starts it, he finishes it. Does that just illustrate the confidence he's developed maybe over the past years?
Yeah, I think tonight he was teetering on that confidence issue with frustration. He pressed a lot, but we've seen him in the past press and lose complete efficiency in his game, and that wasn't the case tonight. So he definitely showed maturity in that regard. He didn't feel his best, but he figured how, when you're not feeling on your game, don't press as much. Figure out how to just what needs to be done. And I thought he did a nice job with that. He definitely did not feel himself. That was obvious, but he stayed on task to do what it takes to win.
Does Krebs sometimes amaze you with his passing ability? Because there's only one place he could have put that puck where Rasmus could score on it, and he threads it right where it had to be. Sometimes you say, boy, how does a youngster like that do that?
Yeah, I think the key that you say there, Paul, is a youngster. I mean, he's young, and that's very impressive. He has such a feel for that, so I couldn't agree more. It's a hell of a play, a very skilled player in that regard, and playmaking ability.
Don, after a tough preseason, you said you were confident that Peterka could play at the NHL level and was ready, and he comes out, he's flying around the ice tonight. What made you so confident in him, first of all? And also, is it still so gratifying to see a guy score his first goal? It
is really gratifying to see a guy score his first goal. It's fun. The guys on the bench love it. And my confidence in JJ is, I've watched him a lot, and it's easy to see when you watch a guy, and then you get to know the person and his personal attributes, his competitive attributes, obviously his skill set by watching him a lot, and all those ingredients are there, the competition heightened. Obviously, first game of regular season, full NHL lineup. He didn't have that in preseason, and he elevated because he has the skill to elevate. That doesn't mean he's not going to go through ups and downs, but he has the ability to do what he did tonight. The task now is to do it more consistently, and that's a task for any young guy, and his determination will help that initiative.
How does it make you feel to see that kid line just play like they've been in the league for 10 years?
It's funny, Joe, because you say kid line, and I got to think we got so many kids out there, but I think you're referring to Cousins?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's really gratifying for me because I've challenged Dylan. We know, I think our fans have come to know how Dylan's leadership potential and his leadership ability present. And now he has a lot of NHL experience when he looked tonight on his flanks, on his wings, and I've pushed him that you're going to see guys coming into the organization that you can mentor, that are going to look up to you. And I thought he played a game tonight that was a man's game. I mean, he looked like a seasoned NHL vet, strong on pucks, strong in faceoffs, and it was very impressive. And he is a guy that will lead by example. So, very gratifying to see him.
Don, Casey Middlestat also seemed like he was buzzing tonight. What can you say about his energy, elevation, and meeting the moment?
Yeah, he is another guy very determined this year. He was struggled. He fought through really difficult injuries last year, and unfortunately for him, he had to buy his time and train hard. He trained hard this summer. He is very confident. His ability matches it. So he's going to be an exciting player for us. I think him and Tuck, we see lots of chemistry in practice. I think that's going to grow game by game here. So I have no doubt Casey is going to be a real big part of things for us.
Coach, anything you feel like you need to work on after tonight's game?
A lot, yeah, a lot. But it's we can finally, as coaching, get the process started. The preseason is more allow these guys to get themselves in game shape, knowing that now we have the context of our competition now, and there's lots of really simple things that were not very good for us tonight that we can clean up, and you're going to clean those up game by game. We haven't shown our guys much video to this point because it's been irrelevant. It's been against players that won't be in the league. So we have our first night of that, and we'll be able to go to work a little bit differently as coaches now. Good night, all.